Have you experienced gaslighting in the workplace? Now, I've spoken about gaslighting before and explained what it means. I'll go through that very briefly now again, but this video is directing more towards the workplace environment. So gaslighting means when you have your emotions and your feelings denied. And it's important to know that it's not only narcissists that gaslight. It can be anyone. And a lot of the time, people aren't even aware that they're gaslighting. When you are being gaslighted, you're being manipulated, and you start to accept someone else's reality as being your own. And it's so subtle, and it happens so quickly that you might not even notice it. So what are some examples of this happening in the workplace? First, they might say something like, "Can you not handle this?" Or, "Come back when you're not going to waste my time. You're being way too sensitive over this. All you have to do is follow my instructions. You have no idea what you're talking about. Others in the company have it worse than you," if you're asserting yourself. They'll also reroute conversations to something that you did wrong. They might secretly sabotage you. And their comments will likely be derogatory. So they might say things like you're overreacting and attempt to belittle you. You'll find as well that gaslighters tend to often accuse other people of what they are actually doing. That's called projecting. When they accuse you of, for example, manipulating when actually they're the ones who are manipulating. So it can really confuse you and believe that you've gone crazy. They tend to make you believe that you're the problem. And it makes you feel like something's unbalanced, like you're doubting whether you're overly sensitive or whether you're out of touch with reality, and questioning if there's something wrong with you. But the reality is that is not fact, that is not reality. Their gaslighting behaviour just leaves you feeling really confused and isolated, and often quite anxious and sometimes depressed. Gaslighting, especially in the work environment, is a power game. And it's a game that you don't even know you're playing. Its purpose is to manipulate you by making you question yourself and by making you lose confidence in yourself. A gaslighter who's in a position of power will use that power against you. They will use their position, whether it's a boss or a manager, they will use that power over you to undermine you. So their purpose is to undermine you and to lower your self-esteem and bully you. Because gaslighting is such a slow process, it can be, you might not even notice it's happening. So that's why it can get quite confusing, because you're made to believe a reality that is not your own, and it feels like it's messing with your head. So you might not even realize it's happening because it can be so subtle, and it can happen either too quickly or very slowly and subtly. So what do you do in these kind of situations? First of all, know that it's not your fault. And second, you know your reality and how you feel. Gaslighting is all about distorting your sense of reality. So if you know that you're experiencing gaslighting, take the time to really sit with yourself and know and ground yourself to know what your reality is. Get yourself back grounded in your own reality. Trusting yourself is also key in order to cope through this type of toxic behavior. The first step to freeing yourself is the awareness of what is actually going on. Because it can be so confusing that the awareness might sometimes take time. You might not realize in the moment, and you might realize afterwards upon reflection. So it's really important to make sure that you connect and ground yourself to your own reality. and then build that awareness of what is really happening. Then finally take a stand, take a firm stand on it, and leave if you need to. You're not obliged to stay anywhere. Sometimes there are sacrifices that we need to make for the sake of our well-being. And if there are other options for you right now, then I suggest working towards those if you are being gaslighted and if you are in a toxic working environment. It's not healthy for anyone for the long term. Okay?